Hello again. Have you wondered how to get the property, the business property in your divorce case figured out, like what the value is, and whether or not there's a separate interest or a community interest that needs to be divided and agreed to by the other party or divided by the court? Hi, my name is Attorney Anthony Spratley. I am the owner and founder of Genus Law Group in Albuquerque, New Mexico, where we practice law. So, again, I just want to talk to you about some topics and things that come up in our practice and also with consults about topics like these. And, we do deal in some high asset divorce cases, and oftentimes there's a business interest. And we learn about those business interests sometimes through discovery or just by disclosures that are made by the other party or by our client that, hey, the other party has a business or multiple businesses, and they're wondering, how do we divide up these assets? How do we make sure that the asset, if you're trying to protect your client, that it's a separate business interest, how do you protect their interest in that property? And what about any community interest as well? So all those things are very, very important, because you need to understand that when it comes to dividing up a business, it's not easy, right? It's not like dividing up the value of a house, right, after the house sells, because if you have a mortgage for $200,000 but the house is worth $400,000, you pay off the house less any expenses, you're going to make a nice little profit, right? That's pretty simple. It's simple math to figure out. Business is quite different, and there's not many attorneys out there that can figure out how to determine what the value is. Right? I mean, you and the other party can come up with a number and say, okay, this is the number I think needs to be divided. As long as you agree to that, that's perfectly fine. But where it gets complex is where there may be a separate interest, like a business interest, where someone had the separate interest before the marriage began, and they brought the business into the marriage, and then there was some commingling of marital property, marital income that went to help that business grow. And so that can be a concern whenever you're trying to divide up a business, where it's clear that someone has a separate lien on that property because they brought it in before marriage, but then during the marriage, with those funds being commingled, it just complicates things. Where it's a little simpler is when the business was created during the marriage and marital funds were used for the creation of that business, and then obviously ongoing operations as well. And this the concept itself is easier to to convince both parties that, hey, this needs to be divided 50-50, then it's just a matter of figuring out how to get it done, right? And so, like I said earlier, not many attorneys know how to do the valuations. Most attorneys recommend to their clients to hire an expert, right? A Rule 11 706 expert. And essentially what this person will do is usually a CPA type, who will do a deep dive analysis into the business or businesses, and help determine what that separate interest is, the contributions that were made throughout the marriage, and help provide you a business valuation as well, to let you know how that asset, the value of the asset, and then once you know the value of the asset and what the separate interests or community interests are, then you can proceed to settling the case. Because you have a good number provided by this expert, where you can then start to negotiate and reach a settlement, hopefully. So an expert to help determine the value of a business is a good thing, because you're going to need it, especially if you have some separate business interests that are commingled with marital, and that same business is commingled with the separate interests and the community interests together. And then, obviously, if you have just strictly a business that was created during the marriage, the value of that business needs to be determined by, again, like I said, that expert. So it's not an easy task for a person to do by themselves to determine the valuation of the business. I recommend that you hire an expert. We know them around town throughout the state of New Mexico that can help. If you need that help with the 11706, that's what we call them, experts, to help do the business valuation. But don't do it yourself, because you're probably gonna not like the result if you try to figure out on your own. Okay, so business valuations are very, very important as part of your settlement agreement. It does make your case more complex and more complicated, but in the long run, if you do it, you're not going to be dissatisfied. That way that you can protect your interests, be it either a separate property interest or community interest in that business interest. All right, folks. Well, that's all I have for now. If you know anyone that could benefit from seeing this video, please share it with them. Also, if you're in a place that you can subscribe, please do so. So as we update and post new information, you'll get updates about that as well. If you know anyone that would benefit from seeing this, please share this with them as well and like this video. I really do appreciate it. Okay. And if you want to give us a call, 505-317-4455. Also go to our website at www.genuslawgrp.com. All right, folks. Till next time, be safe.